Welcome to the very first episode of Entrepreneurship is Nuts. If you've landed on this show, you have landed here because you are struggling as a new entrepreneur, a small business owner, and that's okay. I want to start this show off with that's okay. You know, everything you're experiencing right now is something that I experienced as well. And I experienced it 4 years ago, starting Mortgage Magnates at the time, which is my current corporation. And BHB TV is now what we call it. And it took us so many pivots. It took us so many retries, so many resets to finally hit what we needed to hit in success for our business. And I want to share with you some of those lessons in this show that I've learned, but I also want to share with you guests from around the entrepreneurship world that have learned their own lessons that got them there faster. People I've learned from, people I'm still wanting to learn from. We're going to do this together on this show. We're going to actually do all of this together. We're going to make sure that you don't quit, because the hardest thing in entrepreneurship is not quitting. You wake up once a week and quit. That's how it was for me. And we started Mortgage Magnates, and I'd wake up super motivated on a Monday, and by Thursday I was ready to quit. But did I know? Of course not. And we're going to make sure you get through that with this show every single week. We're going to do Entrepreneurship is Nuts, because guess what? It is nuts. And so we're going to make sure that we get you across that finish line to where your success needs to be, so you can take your business to the next level, not have to worry any longer about the entrepreneurship stress and tribulations of the first 4 years. The reality of entrepreneurship is this: you have to survive 4 years to be successful. It's just the way it is. I used to work in insurance, and I used to work in the investment side of things, and I was a leader and recruiter for people who became financial services reps or financial advisors. And as you may know, that particular role, and maybe some of you have done it before you started your business, or maybe you're watching right now as one of those advisors, as an entrepreneur. And honestly, I can tell you right now that if you are a financial advisor, or you're somebody like a mortgage broker or mortgage professional, and you're doing a straight commission role, but you're in those roles, not only are you an entrepreneur, but you actually have it easy compared to what most entrepreneurs have. Most entrepreneurs start with no market and no real business support. But when you start as a mortgage professional, or you start as a financial advisor, oftentimes you're associated with some type of bigger brand that'll provide you, even for a fee, but it will provide you marketing that you can use to get started. And you can use your natural market, because your natural market, of course, are the people that you have around you. That's your family, your friends, your soccer coaches, your teammate friends and parents. Everybody out there is a potential client. When you're starting an entrepreneur side of business where you don't have that corporate support that'll help you with your marketing, or you don't have that niche where it's mortgages or financial advice, it can be even harder, because you've now got to convince a broad market that what you have is innovative and different enough from your competitors that they should use you, even though you're new. Starting to ring a bell with some of you that are out there? Of course, because it's hard, and that's just how it is, right? You might have the greatest idea in the world, but you haven't executed on the success of it yet. That does not mean that your idea is not great. What it means is you now have to sit there and prove to the world that your idea is great, because they need to know and understand why they should pay for it. Why should I pay for something new? Especially that newness thing is our big topic today. And we'll get into that. I think what you really need to think about here is that you're in for the long haul. It's 4 years or bust. You cannot quit before 4 years. And I used to say this to financial advisors. I used to say this to mortgage professionals, even when I was just a BDM. And that, anybody who talked to me about, I'm not getting to the 150, 200K income that I wanted fast enough. Well, part of that is because of the fact that you're so new. Part of that is because you have to pay your dues. No entrepreneur didn't pay their dues. Nobody walked in and started off with $1 million. It just doesn't happen that way. And I think that's part of our problem in our education system as well. When you get these university professors making you think you're going to be a CEO just for getting their degree or sitting in their lecture hall, it's not going to work that way. And whether you're a millennial, a zennial, Gen Z, whatever it is that's watching, if you're watching this, it's not how the world works. The world works by you starting and not stopping. Do not quit. And you win or you learn, you never lose. And that is one of the things that we have to really realize. And I used to say this to financial advisors that were on my team. You win or you learn, you never lose. You never, ever lose. If you get a losing mindset, you're going to continue to lose. But if you get that you can learn from somebody saying no, you can learn from missing out on that sale. And what can you learn? Actually analyze that sale to find out what you can learn. Then all of a sudden you actually use that and you use it towards your success. The same can be said for brand new businesses that are out there innovating, trying to be, whether you're fintech or you're just, innovating a flower shop. I don't care how it works for you. If you've got an innovative idea, it's going to work, but you've got to stick to it, and you've got to be able to stick to it for 4 years. And the proof is in the pudding. Let's go back to that financial advisor example. It is known, because they do the research on this. They recruit so many financial advisors across North America every single year, that only 20 some odd percent of financial advisors, 20 some odd percent, I think it was 24 or 25%, survive 4 years. 25%. I would argue that that is probably the same thing you would find in the world of entrepreneurship. I think you would see that, most businesses will, if they're going to fail, they're going to fail before year 4. And if they're going to be successful, they're going to be successful after year 4, but that might only be 20%, 25%. And it's because we've been taught by society to accept losing. There is this win and lose mentality rather than this win and learn mentality. And if we can just wrap our heads around that, if it didn't go the way we thought it was going to go, then we didn't lose, but we learned, and we can learn from what that can be. So if we learn, instead of having that mindset of losing, we're always going to win, because we're going to have these things we pick out that we learned from, whether it be from the sale, the objection, whatever it was, that we apply to winning. So remember that, because we're going to talk about that. We're going to have guests that talk about that. I really want to focus on that in upcoming episodes of Entrepreneurship is Nuts, because it really is nuts, because you're now dealing with how you were raised to win or lose, and trying to fight that, and just trying so hard. How many in your mind just are fighting this urge to quit, fighting this urge to try to pivot again because it didn't work this time, or something is off? There are so many stories where entrepreneurs quit just minutes before they succeeded. Even in the book Think and Grow Rich, which I've talked about on another video here on this Baker Life YouTube channel, in Think and Grow Rich, they talk about that example of the mining company. It's right in the first chapter. You don't even have to read the whole book. It's right in the first chapter, talking about the mining company that was started. And this guy and I forget who it was. It's actually a pretty famous name, and it's slipping my mind right now. But it was him and a partner, and they bought mining equipment. They found a cave to mine precious metals in, and they went and started doing that. And they were successful, at least initially. The initial success that you experience with, probably right now, if you're a brand new business, you're getting your first clients that are close to you, that make it easier. Maybe you financial advisors watching this and mortgage brokers understand this too. When family and friends start buying from you to help support your business, so you have some success. They had some success with mining. And when they got to the end of the precious metals that they had found, they gave up. They thought, okay, well, we worked this all, it's gone. Let's figure something else out in life. There's not as much precious metal here anymore. We're not doing as well as we wanted to be doing. Let's move on. They went into town. They boarded up the cave. They sold their equipment to a guy at just an equipment store. But they had told him the story that this cave, this place where they were doing this mining, had run out of the precious metals that they were mining, and that's why they were selling. And so he bought the equipment off of them. But the one thing that struck him was, I didn't love the way that they talked about finding these precious metals. They kind of just went in and took what was there, but didn't really make an effort to see where there could be more. So this gentleman who bought this equipment ended up that they decided that they were going to check this thing out. They went out to the mine, didn't see the precious metals. That was correct. They weren't there. They weren't outwardly visible. However, he also went and hired a geologist who came to that cave or wherever they were mining and said, most precious metals lie along a fault line. And oddly enough, this particular mine has a fault line just 3 feet to the right of this mined area, just 3 feet. Because he engaged an expert outside, he learned that there was precious metals that would last a lifetime just 3 feet to the right. And had the original business owners known that and just moved 3 feet to the right, they would have hit the success that they always wanted, but they quit. They quit. And all this guy had to do that bought their equipment was engage an expert from outside that had some idea of precious metals and where they sit, and then find out that they're just at the fault line. And that fault line was just 3 feet to the right. And he made multi-millions of dollars for the rest of his life in mining from his little shop where he was buying equipment before. So if you're watching this, and I know you are, this is your shot. Don't miss you miss 100%. What is it? Michael Jordan said you miss 100% of the shots that you didn't take. That goes for taking a half a shot, losing, and walking away in a huff like most of us do, right? We don't walk away quietly. We walk, that failed. I'm so pissed, right? We don't do the quiet walk away. We do a huff. So don't do the huff. Go yell into a pillow. Go, outside and go for a really long walk, and then come back and keep going with a win and learn mentality, not a win and lose mentality. Okay, that's the number one. And we're going to stick to that particular messaging throughout our show in multiple episodes as we move forward. But what I want to talk to you today to finish up, and we won't make these episodes too long. I want you to be able to go with actionable items into your business and do these things. This is not a situation where I'm going to ramble at you for an hour. I don't want that. You don't want that. You have a business to run. You have a business to build, especially a new business. So we're going to make it so that in this show, we get, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20 minutes long. We've got a guest. We've got actionable items. You go, you do it. I want reports in the comments. How did it go? Did you start with the win and learn mentality? How's that feeling? Did you go and read Think and Grow Rich? Did you understand that example? Help me help you as well. What do you want to hear? Who do you want to have on the show? Let's learn together as well. I don't purport to be the expert here. All I'm saying to you is that after 4 years, this is what I've learned. Okay. But my learning is far from over. In fact, it's funny because what I actually run is an education company for mortgage professionals. And the most baffling thing that's ever happened in that is that when the mortgage business was so hot and so heavy on new business in the last 2 or 3 years, people put learning aside. I'll never be able to have time for it. I am way too busy. And we kept saying, guys, it's going to slow down. You need us. It's going to slow down. You need us. It's going to slow down. You need to learn other ways to do business so you're ready for the market slowdown. And I'll tell you, 90% of mortgage professionals completely ignored that. And now we sit in a slowdown in a high rate recessional environment with a ton of inflation and problems in the real estate market. And half the mortgage professionals are, guess what? Not ready for it. And that is exactly what we had been saying. And it is all about learning that it's not always good. You have to sharpen your axe. Always. You have to learn how to get better. Subscribe to this channel so you can get the alerts for this show, because this is us. I'm going to learn as much from interviewing these guests as you are, just by the way. I'm just the guy on the microphone, but I am not the guy to purport and preach to you. Today I am. There's no guest, and I'm just teaching you what I learned. But on most days when we do this show, it's going to be real talk, man. And it's going to be real talk that I'm learning from too with these entrepreneurs that we're interviewing. And we're going to do it over about 20 minutes or so each time, so you have actionable items to take out of this. So let's talk about the first actionable item today, the newness mentality. Listen, it's a newness mentality. It's, some people call it the imposter syndrome. What it is you in your new business, not 100% confident people believe in you, not 100% confident you believe in yourself, not 100% confident in your idea even. Sometimes you might think your idea is the best idea in the world, but then when you start to do it and you start to engage people in your business and you start to get your first no's, that is a huge red flag in most people's eyes. The reality is it's truly not. It's your opportunity to learn what about your idea needs changing. It's your opportunity to learn what about your attitude needs changing. It's an opportunity to learn, learn, learn. Now think about this. If you actually quit because your first 2 sales say no, you failed. But if you quit because 5 years down the road, you don't like it anymore, it's not really up your alley, and you don't have a passion for your career, you didn't fail at all. You established a business and you moved on, likely sold it. 2 different scenarios. And we want to get to that second scenario if you have to leave your business, but if you have a love or a passion for it, you can do this for a lifetime. So in order to do that, you need to get past this newness or this imposter syndrome. And how do you do that? Well, the first thing is you have to use that win and learn mentality. That's why I set that up in the beginning of this episode. That's the one thing I don't think we had as entrepreneurs, starting mortgage magnates. It was a win and lose mentality for sure. I felt when the no's started coming in that I was losing. I wasn't even taking notes, to figure out why they were saying no. Instead, I was insulted. Like, this is the greatest idea in the world. What are you talking about? I mean, how can you say no to this? What are you, nuts? Oh, entrepreneurship is nuts, right? So, well, I didn't know that though. That I wasn't there yet mentally. So if I can bring you there now, let's do it. And that is to learn from the no's. Even if your idea is the greatest idea in the world, you have a whole concept in your head written down in your business plan. You have that. You have that knowledge, but your potential client does not. And it's not because you're new. It's because you haven't articulated the idea the way you should. You haven't articulated the idea for how it benefits them. You see, a lot of newness mentality is, here's my idea, here's why it's great. Let me tell you. You're full of energy. You've got them in a meeting. You've got them on a Zoom. You're explaining everything. It's an awesome idea. But what you didn't do was ask any questions. Sound familiar? Ask any questions. You didn't overcome any objections because you didn't expect any objections. You lost in that appointment because you didn't learn. You can only lose if you refuse to learn. So instead, you've got to choose the learning. Okay, what did I do here? I didn't ask any questions about their business. So even though I talked about how great my idea was, I didn't find out how my idea could play on what they do. I never even asked them what they do necessarily, or if I did, it was too vague and I didn't ask more questions. If you don't understand what your potential client does, don't start filling in the blanks with what you think your great idea is. Make sure you understand what they do so that you can align your product, your idea, your service to what it is that they do. Because the only way you're going to win and the only way they're going to buy this is by aligning yourself with them by aligning to their needs. So you have to do that. You have to listen. There's an old adage, why am I talking? Wait, WAIT. Why am I talking? If you are new to business, you must ask yourself that every single time. Because I bet you anything, if you start with the why am I talking moniker, wait, and you wait and let them explain their business to you, you'll be able to articulate your great idea that's a brand new business to them so much clearer based on their needs, based on what they told you. But if you don't wait, if you don't ask yourself, why am I talking? Then you won't get the information that matters to them. Because remember, your new idea does not matter to them, right? They took the appointment because they were intrigued, but it doesn't matter to them until it affects their business in a positive way. Or if it's a client-facing business, customer-facing business, until it affects their lives in an important way. And if you can't articulate that, you won't win. You'll have to learn. And you'll have to learn that you need to ask the questions. You have to learn that you need to learn how to overcome objections. Watch videos on it. We'll talk about it here on this channel. You can find it easily. Learn how to overcome objections. Learn how to bring examples forward of people who have done it before. Likely in the research of your new idea, you found those examples, use those examples, and then learn to become a storyteller. One of the best ways to consultatively sell, and that may be a new word, is to be able to tell the story of those who came before, because that is what we've all been trained on in life. Think about the history books. Think about the stories of those who came before, where it worked or it didn't, right? If you have that ability to tell that story dynamically about how this client you're working with engaged and did so much better and did all of these things, oh boy, now all of a sudden you get the FOMO mentality. Now your new client that's sitting there going, well, I want that. I need that. I need you to teach me to do that. I need you to tell me how I can do that. And is it going to work every single time? Absolutely not. Of course not. Think about sports. If anybody on here is watching and knows baseball, it's probably the prime example of what success can look like, even in an environment where success doesn't happen more than quote unquote failure does. Right? A baseball player that hits 300, that's a 30% average on average for a season, is considered a star. Right? Anybody who hits 400, there's only been one that's done it in the last century. Right? Ted Williams. That's 40% of the time. That means that Ted Williams failed 60% of the time. He in any time. The reality of a new business is you're in sales. You're always in sales. You're selling your new idea. And because of that, you can compare it to sales, and sales is always compared to sports. And you fail most of the time. If you get a yes 4 times out of 10, you are doing really, really well. In fact, your company is taking off. But that still means you got 60% no's. 60%. And so I think we really need to understand that as a business owner, no matter what you do, whether it's a flower shop and you're passionate about flowers, whether you're an arborist working on trees, you're also selling. You're also having to put in, why am I the best arborist to use? And give them those reasons. When you're out doing a quote, why am I the best one? Well, my trucks will come in, we'll save your shed, we'll do it from a distance. But whatever it is that you're doing that's different, we have, state-of-the-art equipment, whatever that is, to their needs. So look at this. If there's one tree in their yard, you're the arborist. One tree in their yard, easy to just come into the driveway and take it down. I'm the best price, because that's what they're looking for. They know it's easy. If it's a hard tree to remove, there's fences, there's other buildings close by. They're not really looking at price right away. They're looking for your ability to do the job. And if you can do the job well and do it better than somebody down the street, where their shed is protected, their home is protected, their neighbors are protected, you're going to get that business even if you're $200 more. And the reason is you convince them that you have the ability and the expertise to do this over and above anybody down the street that's doing the same thing. So you are in sales. Well, if that's the case, you're going to fail 60% of the time at a minimum. You're probably looking more at 80% of the time and getting every 2 out of 10 sales, especially new. So what can we do with the other 8 or 80%? Learn. What did we miss? Where did we miss? Ask the client. Just out of curiosity, as I'm a new business, I'm looking to grow. Can you let me know where we miss on this? And if they said, well, you didn't ask me enough questions about what I really needed, or you didn't talk about, the fact that there was trees and other trees in the way, or the other houses in the way. And that's really the big worry I have, is I don't want to get sued by my neighbor's insurance company because the tree comes down on their house while this is happening. We didn't have that conversation because I didn't know necessarily to have that conversation as a new business. There's your learn. So even though it was a no, we learned that I should probably look at the surroundings. There should be more that I look at than price. And because of that, I go into the next sale, right? I go into the next sale knowing that I need to look at the property differently. I need to look at what I can bring up. I can ask questions about. Are you concerned that your neighbor's house is only 20 feet away? The great news is I bought brand new equipment, and this new equipment is state of the art. We can really make sure we protect your neighbor's house. Oh, really? Okay, well, that's good, right? But ask the question if that's a concern. If they haven't even thought of that as a concern, now you're a real winner, because now they go, oh my goodness, like, you're right. My neighbor's house is really close. That'd be terrible if this oak tree comes down on them. So this is where, you can step in and add sales pieces that maybe they weren't even thinking about. So there's that huge growth from being new. There's that huge growth from asking questions and learning rather than getting frustrated and walking away. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to end this episode now. You're going to go out. I want you to look at your last 6 or 7 no's. The last 6 or 7 no's that you got in your new business. And I want you to think back, if you didn't take notes, and if you did take notes, great. Look back at those notes and what missed. And if you're having trouble with it, what I used to do was compare it to what I did sell. So what did I ask here where I sold it? What did I ask? I asked this, and they, oftentimes I'll find that they did most of the talking. So again, wait, WAIT. Whenever I looked at this, I always knew they did most of the talking, and I was able to fill in the blanks with what I could do for them. Whereas on this side, it was quite often me selling the idea of BHB TV or mortgage magnates and not really listening to what they were saying or even asking questions. Sometimes they didn't talk much at all. Look at that. See if that's what you did. If that's not what you did, look at the other things. What questions did I ask? Did I forget to bring up, if I'm an arborist, that the neighbor's house is too close, but I did that here. Learn. The more you learn, the more you win. And you can get from 2 sales out of 10 to 4 sales out of 10 much sooner than 4 years. Much, much sooner than 4 years. If you just do it differently than I did and do it now, start to really analyze where you were sitting there kicking the dirt because you thought you lost. Instead, learn, analyze. Why did these 8 say no and these 2 say yes? And as soon as you do that, you're going to start to experience success right away. I want to hear about that success in the comments. So like this video, set your notifications for the next episode, because it's going to be great. We're going to continue on with this. And then also subscribe to the channel. I want you to please put some comments on what's working for you, what's not working for you so far. And also, what did you analyze? How did you win or learn in your week between episodes? Thanks for watching. Entrepreneur. Thanks for watching. Let me try that again. Thanks for watching. Entrepreneurship is nuts. It really is. We will check in again next week with our brand new episode, and make sure, again, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel so you can get the notifications that we've got a new episode. And don't forget to also check out, if you know anybody that has multiple sclerosis, that's struggling with it, don't forget to check out our other show, Mary Sunshine Show, which is starting next week. It is awesome. Colleen, my wife, is a beautiful woman, but she's also a brilliant woman. And she was brilliant enough to come up with Mary Sunshine. And we talk about that in the very first episode. And again, if somebody's dealing with MS in your world, watch that show or guide them to that show. All on This Baker Life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.